Welcome to the Creative Commons RX podcast. Before diving into this episode, I want to ensure we're all on the same page. This is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice. No doctor-patient or pharmacist-patient relationship is formed. Using this information and the materials linked to this podcast is at the user's risk. The content on this podcast is not intended to substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. Clinical experts created the references, content, and clinical insight. NotebookLM, a Google AI tool, created the audio content, which I extensively reviewed before release. Finally, the host states that he takes all conflicts of interest seriously. Currently, there are no conflicts to disclose. For all of his disclosures and the companies he invests in or advises, he directs users to reach out independently, where he keeps an up-to-date and active list of all disclosures.
You know, the world of biologic medicine is just exploding, moving at lightning speed. But for every incredible new therapy, there's this really critical question. How do we guarantee patient safety in a world of complex, almost identical drug names? Well, it turns out there's a system of checks and balances. And today, we're going to break down the 3 pillars that hold it all together. Okay, so picture this. You're a pharmacist, right? A patient's insurance wants you to switch them from one biologic to another. You look at the names and they look nearly the same. Just a few letters are different at the end. Can you make that switch? Is it safe? This isn't just some hypothetical question. This is a daily, high-stakes decision happening in pharmacies everywhere. So here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll start right there with that pharmacist's dilemma. Then we'll decode the secret language of biologic names. After that, we'll pull back the curtain on the ultimate rulebook that settles any debate. Then we'll see how these rules actually translate to real-world practice, and finally, we'll tie it all together to show how the system itself creates safety. All right, let's dive right back into that pharmacy. Because to really appreciate the elegant solution the FDA has built, you first have to feel the pressure of that single critical decision. What's so cool about this is that it's the FDA's own case study. So, a prescription comes in for intralumab ABIN, but insurance only covers intralumab JTNR. Now, that shared core name, intralumab, it correctly signals to the pharmacist, hey, these products are related. But, and this is absolutely the key, those different 4-letter suffixes, ABIN and JTNR, are a deliberate red flag. That's the FDA's way of screaming, hold on a second, these are not the same thing. That distinction forces the pharmacist to stop and dig deeper. So, how does our pharmacist solve this puzzle? It all starts with the first pillar of safety, decoding the name itself. The FDA has literally built a specific language to manage these medicines, and learning to speak it is step 1. And here's the basic grammar. You've got a core name, a hyphen, and then a unique 4-letter suffix. The core name tells you the active ingredient is the same. But that suffix? Think of it like a unique license plate for that specific product from that specific manufacturer. And what's really important is that those 4 letters are intentionally meaningless. They're random, so there's no way to think one is better than another just based on the name. So, why go to all this trouble? Well, it boils down to 2 huge patient safety reasons. First, pharmacovigilance, which is really just a fancy way of saying safety tracking. If a patient has a bad reaction, that unique suffix lets regulators instantly trace it back to a specific product and manufacturer. That's huge. And second, it prevents errors. By giving each non-interchangeable product a totally distinct name, it makes it much, much harder for someone to accidentally grab the wrong one. But you know, even the best systems have to evolve. For years, pretty much all monoclonal antibodies ended with the same 3 letters, mAb. And that worked fine at first, but when the number of these drugs just exploded past 800, the system started to buckle. The risk of a pharmacist grabbing the wrong vial because of a look-alike, sound-alike name, it became dangerously high. And here's the solution, which is pretty clever. In 2021, the old mAb stem was retired for new drugs, and it was replaced with these 4 new, more descriptive stems. You've got TUG for natural antibodies, BART for engineered ones, MIG for antibodies that hit multiple targets, and MENT for smaller antibody fragments. The big takeaway here is that the name itself now tells you a story about the drug's basic structure. Now, this is a super common point of confusion, so let's clear it up. You might see an older, well-known biologic that doesn't have a suffix, but all its newer biosimilars do. Why is that? It's simply a matter of timing. The FDA finalized this naming policy in 2017 and decided not to go back and add suffixes to drugs that were already approved. So a missing suffix doesn't mean it's the original or the standard, it just means it's older. Okay, so the names give us our first big clue. but they don't answer the ultimate question from our pharmacist's dilemma. Can I substitute this? For that, we need the second pillar of safety, the official regulatory rulebook. Everybody, meet the Purple Book. It's officially called the Database of Licensed Biological Products, and it is, without a doubt, the FDA's final word. This online database is the single source of truth. It authoritatively defines the relationship between all biologics, telling you if a product is a reference product, a biosimilar, or, and this is the most important part, an interchangeable biosimilar. It basically sets the FDA's legal and scientific decisions in stone. For anyone working in a pharmacy, the Purple Book is a goldmine of data for just getting through the day. The BLA number, that's like the product's social security number. It's essential for accurate ordering. The proper name with its suffix makes sure you're looking at the right thing. The license type is the key to all your dispensing logic. It tells you if substitution is even on the table. And of course, marketing status tells you if you can even get the drug. So we've got the language of names, and we've got the official rulebook. Now it's time for the third pillar, which is all about taking that knowledge and building it into safe, everyday practices. This is where we go from rules to reality. This right here is what a really robust safety system looks like in action. It's a standard operating procedure, an SOP. You order using the full name and that BLA number. When the drug arrives, you check it against those same identifiers. In the pharmacy itself, you physically store products that have the same core name separately to avoid any mix-ups. And then for that final crucial step, dispensing, you use barcode scanning to make absolutely sure the product in the bag is the exact one on the prescription. It's a closed-loop system, and it works. Okay, this next part is super important, and it's where a lot of people get tripped up. The FDA, at the federal level, gives the scientific green light. They're the ones who designate a product as interchangeable. But whether a pharmacist can actually act on that green light is decided by state law. So just because a product is designated as interchangeable doesn't automatically mean it can be substituted in every single state. And this shows you just how specific it gets. Let's take Texas as an example. For a pharmacist there to substitute an interchangeable product, 3 things have to happen. 1, the new product has to cost the patient less. 2, the pharmacist has to tell the patient about this cheaper option. And 3, the patient has to actually agree to it. They have to give their consent. And it doesn't stop there. In Texas, a prescriber can block a substitution, but they have to physically handwrite "brand necessary" on the prescription. Just checking a box or using a stamp won't cut it. And if a substitution is made, the pharmacist has to let the prescriber's office know within 3 business days. It's a whole system built on checks, balances, and clear communication. Okay, let's bring it all home. We've looked at the 3 pillars one by one, but their real power, their real magic, comes from how they work together as one single integrated safety framework. You see, the naming convention gives us the precise language we need to tell these products apart. The Purple Book gives us the single source of truth about their regulatory status. And the operational protocols, they translate all that information into safe, real-world actions. It's not enough to just know one piece of this puzzle. It's only by integrating all 3, the names, the book, and the protocols, that we can build a truly resilient safety net that delivers the promise of these amazing therapies while protecting every single patient. Ultimately, safety isn't a one-and-done thing. As this quote gets at, the world of biologics is always moving forward. New products, new rules, new challenges are always just around the corner. A real commitment to continuous learning and actually using these principles is what's going to keep patient safety front and center both now and in the future. And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. As we move deeper into an era of personalized medicine with incredibly complex cell and gene therapies, how will these safety systems need to evolve? The core framework, naming, verifying, and operationalizing, that's probably going to stick around. But the tools we use will have to get a whole lot smarter to keep up with the science.
This is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice. No doctor-patient or pharmacist-patient relationship is formed. Using this information and the materials linked to this podcast is at the user's risk. The content on this podcast is not intended to substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. Clinical experts created the references, content, and clinical insight. NotebookLM, a Google AI tool, created the audio content, which I extensively reviewed before release. Finally, the host states that he takes all conflicts of interest seriously. Currently, there are no conflicts to disclose. For all of his disclosures and the companies he invests in or advises, he directs users to reach out independently, where he keeps an up-to-date and active list of all disclosures.